Last
Rosh Hashana base test.
Gamaliel sent a message to him. I decreed upon you that you may come to me with your staff and your money on the day that Yom Kippur will fall according to your reckoning. Rabbi Akiva went and found him troubled. So he said to him, I can elucidate whatever Rabbi Gamaliel did is validly done. Where it says there are the holidays of Hashem, I call the convocations that you should declare them, whether declared in their expected time or not in their expected time. I have no holidays but these. He came to Rav Dosa ben Harkness, who said to him, if we come to reconsider the decisions of Rav Gamliel's Bet Din, then we must reconsider the decisions of every base din that arose from the days of Moshe until now. As it says, there went up from Moshe and Aaron, Nadav and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. Why are the names of the elders not expressly mentioned? Only to each of us that every three people who arose as a base din for Israel are considered like the base din of Moses. Then he took his staff and money and in his hand and went to Yavna to Rabbi Gamliel on the day of the Yom Kippur fell according to his reckoning. Rabbi Gamliel stood up, kissed him on the head, and said to him, come in peace, my master, my disciple, my master in wisdom, and my disciple, in that you accepted my words. In the base din of all of Israel saw the moon, or the witnesses were interrogated, but did not manage to say it is sanctified before it is dark, it is full. If only base din saw it, two of them should stand and testify before the others, and they should say it is sanctified, it is sanctified. If three saw it and they constituted base din, then two should stand up and set some of the colleagues beside the single one and testify before them and say it is sanctified, it is sanctified. An individual is not trusted alone. All shofars are valid except that of a cow because it is called a Karen. Rabbi Yossi says that not all shofars are called Karen, as it said, when they make a long blast with the ram's Karen, and that's it. Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Okay. So um, here's an interesting halacha that will surprise you in the Mishnah. Shofar shel Rosh Hashanah shel Ya'el Pashut. The Mishnah the shofar that we blow in Rosh Hashanah should be a straight one from a mountain goat. Right? Ya'el is a mountain goat. Is that your translation?
It says a wild gold straight and with a
Well,
gold covered mouthpiece.
right.
So that
Right. So
part
in other
surprised
words, a straight horn, sort of like an ibex. Have you seen, you know what an ibex looks like?
yeah.
Yeah. So they've got the straight horns, and that's the kind of shofar that you should be using for Rosh Hashanah.
But
Um,
that surprises me because we said before
because
that
that's not what we do. That's correct. And you'll see that
the gold vestments are
ah,
taken off because
piv mitzup zahaven with a golden mouthpiece.
right, that's what I'm saying. Of all places for the mouths to have that.
Well,
So
I think musically it wouldn't work. Um, maybe it could. I suppose you could shape the gold into. I mean, we do that with brass and whatever for the woodwind uh,
brass is right.
for the brass instruments, right? But it could be just like a little bit beyond the mouth because I think you would have to technically for blowing the shofar, your mouth has to be on the shofar itself. That you're not making a sound through the mouthpiece of the gold. It's just that in that area of the mouthpiece, it was decorated with gold. Um, Ushtei chatzos min hatzadin. And you have to this is in the time of the temple. You'd have one person blowing the shofar in the middle for the mitzvah and two people with the silver trumpets
Mhm.
on either one on either side of him. Right, because the most chashuv would when three people go together, the most chashuv should go in the middle. Okay. Shofar marich v'chatzotros mekatzros. So the shofar blast is the one that goes for the longest time because that's the mitzvah. Um, and the Trump, like my brain, my halachic brain over here is just like popping over here. What do you mean? How can you? They're busy telling all the kids to shh because if the kids make a noise and you didn't hear the thing properly. Now, meanwhile, we're coming and adding these two extra trumpets to it, which are not part of the mitzvah. Nonetheless, this is what the Mishnah is saying. She mitzvah sayom b'shofar. Okay, that's saying that why the shofar must blow longer than the other ones. Okay, Mela, at least we have that. Um, but I was just thinking like how do you blow the shavarim or the trua when if you've got other trumpets going on like the shavarim is like three blasts. So who's blowing around them? You're not going to hear them. So, at any rate, this Mishnah turns out to be not lehalacha because we'll see later that we follow the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Anyway, we'll get to that later. Mishnah Daled, but Tanios, what we also have a mitzvah of blowing shofar on the Tanios, as it says. Where is it? There's a pasuk here. "Va'aser chashtei chatzotzos v'hayu lecha lemikra ha'edah." So it says this in Sefer Bamidbar, where we've got where there's a where we have some sort of communal problems. Then we sound on the chatzotzos to inspire people to do teshuvah, to fast, to do. Okay, so when we have fast days, as is described in Maseches Tanis, right? You know, if there isn't rain for such and such amount of time after Zayin Cheshvan, then people, the Chidim start fasting, then Tzibur starts fasting, then we have these big fast days and whatever, and we blow on the Chatzotzos. So what do we do? This is B'Shel Zechayim Kfufin. Now this over here is from male rams with the curved horns. Why? Okay, because now the opinion of this Tana is that on Rosh Hashanah you're coming in pure and you want to be straight and clear with Hashem that this is we're announcing Hashem as the king, and therefore you have a
Right.
straight shofar. But on a tanis you're bent over and humbled, and that's the symbolism of the bent ram's horn. Upihen mitzupe kesef, and they are the mouth of the shofar is coated with silver. Ushtei chatzotzos be'emtza. Now you have your two silver trumpets in the middle because that is the ikar. Shofar mekatzer v'chatzotzos marichos shemitzvot hayom b'chatzotzos. So we do have shofaros, but the ikar mitzvah is with the trumpets. So they stand in the middle, the two trumpets in the middle, and you have two shofaros on either side, to add to the sound. But the ikar mitzvah here is with the trumpets. Shave hayovel lerosh Hashana letzkiya labrachos. Okay, so now when you blow the shofar at the end of the yovel, that to announce that's Motzei Yom Kippur after the yovel, we blow the shofar to announce that all of the lands return to the original owners and all the slaves get freed. Okay. Um, Shave Hayovel LeRosh Hashanah so basically they're saying that this Tana is saying that you use the same shofar. In other words, the straight one of the Yael. Okay, and both for the brachos. Um, Oh, he's saying that even on Yom Kippur after the Shnasa Yovel, we also add into the tefillah. So once in 50 years, the Musaf of Yom Kippur also includes Malchuyos, Zichronos, and Shofaros, and you blow shofar just like you do on Rosh Hashanah. That's an interesting thing, which we've never seen, of course, because we've never observed Yovel. But that will be interesting to see when we reintroduce Yovel, what will happen with us with our tefillah on Yom Kippur of Yovel. Rabbi
Problem
Yehuda
is,
now comes in.
problem is we don't really know when the Yovel's going to be. We don't
Well,
know when that.
it's above my pay grade, but somebody's going to announce it. Okay.
Okay.
Rabbi Yehuda Omer, B'Rosh Hashanah tokin b'shel Zacharim u'b'Yovel b'shel Yaelim. So he agrees about the Yovel that you use the Yaelim for the Yovel, but he says on Rosh Hashanah we use the curved ram's horn, and that's our halacha. His opinion is that when we come into Rosh Hashanah, we should also come in with a humbled spirit because we're being judged.
Right.
Right, and that's the halacha that we follow over here. And plus, of course, it evokes the Akedas Yitzchak.
Right. I guess
Okay, that's it.
Mashiach will be the one to tell us when the show will. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
Beitza.
Hey, Darling. If one borrows a utensil from his friend before Yom Tov, it is feet of the borrower. On Yom Tov is the feet of the lender. If a woman borrowed from her friend spices and water and salt for her dough, there is the feet of the both. Rabbi Yehuda exempts the water because there is nothing substantial in it. A live coal is at the feet of the owner, but a flame everywhere. A live coal of temple property is subject to Mila, and a flame not be used, and the flame may not be used. But one does not commit sacrilege. One who takes out his live coal to the public domain is liable, but a flame is exempt. The well of an individual is at the feet of the individual, and the people of the city as the feet of the people of that city. And those who ascended from bubble are as the feet of the one who draws. If one had produce in another city, and the people of that city made an error to bring him of his produce, they might bring it to him, but he made an error, his produce is himself, as himself.
Right. So tomorrow, when we're doing our stuff, we'll finish again Beta and go back to the beginning of Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, okay. That's really confusing for me. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Super.
we're gonna start. But you don't go on here. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Well, you've already got Rosh Hashanah out, so you don't have a problem.
Oh, I probably will. Okay.
Okay.
Um, okay. Why do I have this in wrong? I don't have this in wrong place. Okay. It should be olive base.
Yeah.
If one builds a sukkah on the tree as if he is thought he had built it inside the house, or one whose sunny's area is greater than its shaded area is van valid. An old sukkah Beis Shammai is to validate, and Beis Hillel validates it. And what is considered an old sukkah? Whatever one builds 30 days prior to the festival. But if one,
Hold on. You have
I went the wrong way. Don't tell me I
yeah,
went the wrong way.
you did.
I did. Oh, come on, give me a break. All right. So we're starting on base.
Thanks.
If one builds his sukkah under the tree as if though he had built it inside the house. If a sukkah is built atop another sukkah, for an upper one is valid, the lower one is invalid. And the unit says if there be no tendency in the upper one, only the lower one is valid. If one spread a sheet over the sukkah because of the sun, or beneath it because of the falling leaves, or if one spread it over four posts of bed, it's invalid. However, one may spread it over two posts of bed. If one raised it onto a grapevine, a gourd, or an ivy, and covered it with skak, it's invalid. But if the skak exceeded them, or if it detached them, it is valid. This is the ruling regarding the validity of skak. Whatever is susceptible to contamination or does not grow from the ground, we may not use for skak. But whatever is not susceptible to contamination and grows from the ground, we may use for skak.
Okay.
I'm putting a different note here, so I make sure I'm going the right way.
Irvin.
Okay. All right. And we have then Dalit Hay. One who slept while on a journey did not know that he had become dark, is 2,000 cubits in each direction. These are the words of Yochanan ben Nuri, but the comments say he has only 4 cubits. Elias says, and he is in their midst. Rabbi Yehuda says he may go in any direction he wishes, yet Rabbi Yehuda agrees that once he chooses for himself, he cannot retract. If there were two, some of the cubits of one overlapping the cubits of the other, they may bring their food and eat in the middle, provided that one does not carry from his into his friends. If there were three and the middle one's area was overlapped by the other two, he is permitted with them and then permitted with him, but the outer two are forbidden with each other. Reb Shimon says, to what is this comparable? To the three courtyards which open into one domain and the other into the public domain. If two made an Arab with the middle one, it is permitted to them, and they're permitted to it, but the two outer ones are forbidden to one another. One who was traveling as darkness approached and he knew of a tree or fence said, my Sabbath dwelling is beneath it. He has said nothing. However, if he said, my Sabbath dwelling place is at its trunk, he may walk from his present location to the trunk of the trunk 2,000 cubits, and from the trunk to his house, 2,000 cubits. Thus, he may go 4,000 cubits after dark.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. And we have Beah. Okay, Beah Zion.
And this
Now,
one is in the other direction.
this is right. This is not going to sound right. What is Oliet? Whatever is neither kataf or nataf. If it is kataf or nataf to the owner, if there is doubt to the poor. Olet in a joint, it is nipped off of the cluster, then it belongs to the owner. If not, then it belongs to the poor. A single berry, Rabbi Huda says cluster, but the sages say Oliet. The person who thins the vine just as his, he may thin the poor, but Rabbi Yehuda, so says Rabbi Yehuda, but Rabbi Meir says he may, his own he may, but that of the poor he may not. A vineyard on its fourth year, Beit Shammai says it has no homsek, but it has no removal. But Beit Hillel says, but the Shammai says it has parrot and oleat, and the poor redeem for themselves. Beit Hillel says all of it is for the vat. Okay. And we are into Salem. Okay, Gimel Dalet. A barrel that has fractured and one coated with dung, even though one removed the dung and fragments fall apart, it is tame since it has never lost its designation as a utensil. If the barrel broke and one glued the fragments together, or one brought fragments from elsewhere and then coated them with dung, even though one removes the dung and the fragments remain together, it is tahor since it lost its designation as a utensil. If it had a fragment that contained a quarter log, the entire barrel transmits via tuma via contact, and opposite that fragment transmits tuma via airspace. If one coats a sound earthenware utensil, Rameh and Reb Shimon rule the coating tame. But the sages say if one coats a sound utensil, then the coating is tahor. But if one cuts a fractured utensil, the coating is tame, and the same applies to the reinforcement of a gourd shell. The Yablis used to pitch pithol, that which touches it is tame. A stopper of a barrel is not regarded as connected, and that which touches the coating of an oven is tame.
Okay.
Okay, go. Okay, Gimel Aleph. Possession of houses, pits, ditches, walls, stovecoats, and bathhouses, olive presses, irrigated fields, slaves, and anything provides benefit continually must be 3 years from day to day. A field watered by rain must be possessed must be put by 3 years, but not from the day to day. The Mishna says 3 months in the first, three in the last, and 3 months, 12 months in between, for a total of 18 months. The Mekiva says 1 month in the first, 1 month in the last, and 12 months in between, for a total of 14 months. Ishmael said, in regard to what is said, in regard to a field of grain. However, in the case of a field of trees, if he has got in his crop, picked his olives, and gathered in his dried figs, his count is 3 years. There are 3 lands in Eretz Israel in regard to Kazakh, Judea, Jordan, and the Galilee. If it was in Judea and another took possession of the Galilee, or if he was in the Galilee and another took possession of the Judea, he has no Kazakh unless they was with him in the same province. The Yehuda says they said only 3 years, only so that in case one is in Spain and another takes possession of the field for a year, they have 1 year to travel and notify him that he can return to the following year. Any possession not accompanied by a claim is not a kazaka. How so? If he said to him, "What are you doing in my property?" and he replied, "Because no one ever said anything to me, it's not a kazaka." But he replied, "You sold it to me, or you gave it to me as a gift, and your father sold it to me, or your father gave it to me as a gift. It's kazaka. But one who comes to a property by virtue of inheritance does not require a claim. Pastoring partners, sharecroppers, administrators have no kazaka. A man has no kazaka on the property of his wife, nor does a woman have kazaka on the property of her husband, nor a father on the property of his son, nor on the son on the property of his father. In regard to what is stated, in regard to one who holds possession. But in the case of one who gives the gift, brothers who divide and one who takes possession of the property of a convert, if he closed off, fenced off, or breached somewhat, it is kazak.
Okay.
I can't. I never get in my head. I know it's not